Let's look back at some of the best times in this franchise's history, because after all, it's homecoming. And since it is homecoming, we got to get some guys who are an important part of our franchise, the Houston Texans. Some of your favorite Houston Texans. We got Travis Johnson, defensive lineman. We also have Chester Pitts, an original Texan, and the great Wade Smith, Pro Bowl offensive lineman. They all played in the trenches. They all had unique views at some of these great moments in Texans history, both recently and in the past. So let's start with the one that was most recent. And Deshaun Watson getting loose, getting the ball down the field. Travis Johnson against the Bills in the playoffs. That play, pretty huge, wasn't it?
Oh, no question. I think it showed our resilience as a team. When you think about the things we were up against, our back is against the wall. Our quarterback is about to get sacked. He scrambles. He moves over to his right. He finds Tywan Jones, who hasn't got many plays.
Really 99 out of 100 times, that's a sack. You know what I mean? But Deshaun Watson flips that sack into a huge game.
It was absolutely incredible. It was a great scene. It was a great form of emotion.
He's a magician. Deshaun Watson, glad that we got him here in Houston.
Chester, you and I were up at the deck, and when he went like this and flexed in the replay, I think the roof almost came off in the NRG Stadium, don't you?
It was as loud a moment as I can ever remember in the stadium. Just the magicalness of the play. It was fun to watch from the deck for sure.
All right, let's stick with you, Chester, because you were a part of the first great moment in franchise history. And that great moment was about 4 hours long. The first time the Texans put the pads on, you were there. I'm guessing you felt that happiness, that excitement, that energy from kickoff to the time you guys went back into the locker room that night, didn't you?
There were so many emotions. There was so much that went on, preparing and getting ready for that game. The Cowboys were absolute jerks in practice. But then on top of that, when you tie in the energy from the fans and the 1-in-15 signs is okay, just beat Dallas, it was crazy. So, but to get that done and get that W it was amazing. It was awesome.
Growing up, I couldn't stand the Cowboys. I hated them as a kid. I was a black sheep in my family, and so when I saw that they lost to an expansion team, I had a little chuckle to myself.
I remember watching because Billy Miller is another Los Angeles kid, grew up right down the street from me, literally. And then Billy Miller catches the first ever touchdown for the Texans. I was like, almost like Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. Like, I really felt like anything was possible. Like, it really felt that way.
Let's stick with you, Wade Smith. You played with broken ribs in an epic game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Take us back to how that game ends with the GOAT, Andre Johnson, and the game-winning walk-off touchdown.
I tell you what, I don't think there was anybody in that crowd or on that field that was more thankful that game was over at that point, because it was late in overtime. I broke my ribs in the first quarter of that ball game and continued to play through them. It was one of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life. I would say it is the most painful thing. But by the end of the ball game, when we throw that screen pass and Dre catches that ball and takes it to the house, all that pain went away, man. It was a great feeling.
Where does that one rank in all of the great plays that number 80 made for this franchise?
Well, I mean, everything ranks number 2 behind him whooping Cortland Finnegan, in my opinion. And I laugh because I call him, and he picks up the phone. And I'm like, man, you straight? We need to go over there and finish the job. No, man, I took care of it. You don't want no part of it.
All right, let's talk about a two-step that the Texans did with the Bengals about a month apart. First one was the clincher. Young T.J. Yates, as a rookie, helped guide that team down the field. Wade, you were in the huddle with him. And at the very end, he finds Kevin Walter for the touchdown. The Texans were in the playoffs for the first time. Tell me about that play.
It was an amazing play after an amazing drive. There were a bunch of plays that set up that last pass to Kevin Walter, but we never had any doubt that we could go down there and score a touchdown and make it happen. And that's exactly what we did. We had a bunch of guys on that team coming home from that game and meeting the thousands and thousands of fans that were waiting for us at the stadium was my greatest memory of being a Houston Texan.
Back here, first playoff game, J.J. Watt stuck those 2 big paws up and took it back to the house. What was that moment like for you? Because you were on the sidelines watching it. You're an offensive lineman. What was it like when that happened for you?
I would put all my money up to say that the loudest moment in the history of this franchise was when J.J. Watt picked that ball up and took it to the house.
It's the roar of the crowd and the first playoff win in the history of the franchise.
I think the hardest part was watching him do the nay-nay afterwards. You know what I mean? That kind of was like, oh man, he got a little shimmy with it. I'm like, I wanted him to shimmy a little bit more, but at the same time, you were just like, dude, who is this guy? Because I'm gonna tell you, the first time I met JJ was at Chester's bowling event before his rookie year. Yeah. And I'm like, this is the biggest dude I ever seen before playing D-line. Like, his mitts were huge, so when he caught it, I'm like, I can see that.
Travis, Chester, Wade, it's fun strolling down memory lane with you. Hope to do it again very, very soon. Happy homecoming to the three of you, and happy homecoming to all of you checking this out. Go Texans.